Hello friends, welcome back. So we will install Shopify Buy. So inside the terminal, I'll write npm install Shopify-buy and press enter. So now it is installed and I have created few files with the credentials. Okay. So as you can see, this is env.development and this is env.production. And I prefix them with Gatsby underscore. So this will allow us to get all the environment variables inside of the client side code. Now let's go to store underscore context.js, sorry, store hyphen context.js, and here we're gonna import. So import client from Shopify Buy. Okay, and then we need to create the client. So const client, and that is going to be client, and we need to call build client. Okay, so build dot build client, and this will take two parameters. Okay, so the first one will be domain, and that is going to be process dot env dot, and then we can go to env dot develop, and here we'll copy this gatsby underscore score underscore url, and I'll paste it here. Okay, then the second one will be store front access token, and that is going to be process dot env dot, and here we are going to copy Gatsby underscore Shopify dot underscore token. Okay, let's save this, and now instead of null, we can pass this client here. Okay, and let's save this file, and now let's start the server. So npm start. Okay, there is one warning, but we can ignore that. Let's go to the browser and let's check whether it is working or not. So yes, everything is working fine. Cool. So now let's go to the Visual Studio Code, and now let's go to layout.js, and we will start working on add variant to cart. So let's first do some error handling. So here we can write if variant ID is empty. Okay, if this is empty, or also the quantity is empty. Let's say if not. Okay, so then we can say console dot error, and here we can write both variant ID and quantity are required, and here we can return. So skip everything else. Okay, and then if we pass the variant ID and the quantity, we can call set state. So set state, and here this is gonna be previous state, and then an arrow function, and here we will use a spread operator. So dot 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 previous state, and here we will only change the adding to true. So adding, that is going to be true. So here we need a parentheses. Okay, and here we are going to close it. Okay, so now the error is gone. Let me save this file. Now we are going to get the checkout and the client from the store. So here we need to write const, and in curly braces we are going to get the checkout and client from the store. So equals to this dot state dot store, and let's get the checkout ID. So const checkout ID equals to checkout dot ID, and now we will also prepare the element to update. So const line items to update equals to, and this is going to be an array, and we will have variant ID and also quantity, and the quantity here will make sure, so it is an integer, so we will do parse int. So parse int, and we are going to pass quantity, and now we will call the Shopify client and then add that item to Shopify cart. So here we are going to return Let me close this. So here we are going to return client dot checkout, and we will call add line item. This will require the checkout ID. So checkout ID. This checkout ID we will generate in a moment, and here we will pass line item to update. Okay, let me save this file. Here it will be a comma, and let me save this file. Then, since this is a promise, we will get the checkout, and here we can update our state. So we can call set state. Okay, so set state. Again, we required previous state. So previous state, and then we will return previous state. So dot 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 previous state dot store, and we will have checkout, and then we will set the adding to false. So adding, and we will set it to false. We need to set the adding to false since the element is already been added, and we need to wrap everything inside of a store key since we group everything under store. So here I will write store, and that is equal to, and inside curly braces we will add everything here. Okay, so we need to wrap everything inside the store key, and here also we need to do the same. So store, and that is going to be and inside this we will add this previous state, and adding will be through. Let me save this file. Now let's generate the checkout ID, and for that we are gonna call a use effect. So on mount we can generate the checkout ID. But before that, here I can see an error. So let's remove this semicolon and let's save this. Now it is fine. Now here we need to use effect, but first we need to get the use effect from React. Okay, so use effect, and then we can use it here. So use effect, and we will call a function, and the second argument will be an empty array. So it will run only once when the component is mounted, and let's call the function initial checkout. So here I'll write initialize checkout. Okay, let me save this, and now let's define this function. So here we need to write const initialized checkout, that is going to be an arrow function. And inside here, first thing we need to check if we are running the app in the browser or it is just a static site generator, because Gatsby otherwise will have some error. So here we need to write const is browser equals to, and here we need to, and here we can write type of window is not equal to undefined. Okay, and also once we generate the checkout ID, you might also want to store it in the local storage. Okay, so let's also do existing ID. So here we need to write const existing checkout ID equals to, and here we need to check the condition is browser. If this is true, okay, then we can have local storage dot get item, and here inside this we can give it a name. So Shopify underscore checkout underscore ID. So if it is true, then we can set local storage with the name, and if it is not true, then we will return null. Okay, so let's save this. So here we are checking that if we are in the browser, then we will try to get this. Okay, and if we are not in the browser, so it will return null. Okay, when it return nulls, it means we are not in the browser. Let's save this file. So the first function here is gonna be set checkout in state. So const set checkout in state. Okay, and here this will be an arrow function, and here we will get the checkout. So checkout, and then save it to the local storage. So again, we should always check if we are in the browser. Okay, so is browser, and if this is true, then we will do local storage dot set item, and here inside this we can use this name. Okay, Shopify checkout ID, and then we will save the checkout ID. So checkout ID will be checkout.id. Okay, and then once that's there, we will also set the state. Okay, so here set state, and this will be an arrow function. So here we require previous state, so previous state, and here we will have store, so store, and here we will spread the previous state, so previous state dot store, and we will add our checkout, so checkout. Let's save this file. And another function we are gonna need is so we can call in here const create new checkout, and that is going to be an arrow function. And here we need state dot store dot client dot checkout dot create. Okay, and here we need to fetch. Okay, so fetch checkout, that is again going to be an arrow function, and here we need to pass id as a parameter, then state dot store dot client dot checkout dot fetch, and here we need that id. Okay, so now we have the base function. Let's initialize the client. So here we can check that uh, if existing checkout id, if this is true, then we can just try and catch. So that is simple. So try, and inside this we'll have const checkout equals to await fetch checkout. Okay, and here we are going to pass existing checkout id, and then we need a condition that if not checkout dot completed at, if this is true, then we need to set checkout in state, and inside this we need checkout, and then we need to return, and then we can do a catch. So catch, sorry, here we are going to catch, and inside this now once we are done, so now once we do the checkout id, we need to make sure that whatever was in the cart was not purchased already, so we can clear out everything. So here we can say okay catch, and if there is an error, then we can say local storage dot set item, and here inside we need to give the name Shopify. So what was the name? So we need to clear this id, so Shopify underscore checkout underscore id, and the second argument will be null. Okay, let's save this. So if we don't have, however, an existing checkout id, so we need to get a new one. So here we need to write const new checkout equals to await, and here we need to get a new checkout. Okay, so create new checkout, and then once this is done, then we need to set checkout in state, and we need to pass this new checkout. Okay, so let me paste it here, and okay, the spelling is incorrect, so create new checkout. Okay, now it is fine. Now this should be an async function, so here I will write async. Okay, let me save this file, and now let's go to the browser and inspect, and let's go to console. Let me clear this out. If I go here and if I click on add to cart, okay, both variant id and quantity are required. So we are getting some error. So let's go to Visual Studio Code, and this should be state.store. Okay, let's save this, and now let's check it again. If I refresh, okay, let me clear this. If I click here, again we are getting some issue. Now let's go to Visual Studio Code. So now let's go to pages folder, and inside this we need to go to Shopify product.handle.js. So here I've missed out something which is super important. So here we need data dot Shopify product dot Shopify ID. Okay, but here we need to change something in the query. We can't globally access this Shopify ID. So for that we need the variant ID. So for that we need to write variants. Okay, variants, and inside that we will write Shopify ID. Okay, let's save this, and here we can pass that variant, and this is gonna be first one. So dot Shopify ID, and this would be the first one. Okay, let's save this. Now as this is fixed, now let's go to layout.js, and here also I have added all the function in the store, so that is not the right thing to do. So here if I scroll down, here we will pass all the functions. So let me take this in a curly braces, and then dot state dot store, and here after this comma we will paste all these functions. So let me remove all the functions. So this is the first one, second one, and the third one. So let me cut all the functions. Okay, and I'll paste it here. Okay, let me save this. Let's save this. And now inside store hyphen context, we don't require all these functions here. Okay, so let me save this, and now if I go to the browser, if I refresh it, let me clear this out. Let's clear this out, and if I click on add to cart, go back. So here I'll console log state dot store. Okay, let me save this, and if I go back, and now if we inspect, and if I go to console, let me clear this out, and if I click on add to cart, as you can see we are getting all the stuff. Okay, so we have successfully done the functionality for adding to cart, and this is it for this video, and I'll see you in the next video.